6 years had passed since I disappeared from the sea, and now Liu Zuer received a call from the police station. Ms. Liu, your daughter is at the International Airport Department. Please bring the documents and come as soon as possible, the voice on the other end added. She had a meeting scheduled. The phone was lying on the table. All the staff present overheard this conversation. They were shocked that children had been found anywhere, even though that was impossible. Wen Yan also froze, stunned by what she had heard. I was single when we broke up. She hung up, but the phone rang again. The policeman was insistent. This child thinks you're his mother. If you don't believe me, come and see for yourself. The phone kept ringing off the hook. Suddenly, there was a cry and the sound of a gunshot. Mom, I'm scared. Come and get me. Mrs. Liu jumped up abruptly. After a short pause, she was ready to drop everything and leave. Everyone around was wondering what was going on, realizing that this strong woman was clearly hiding a difficult story. 6 years ago, her husband and newborn daughter died in an accident, and she herself was barely alive from grief. She almost became her business partner, and now suddenly a girl appears who looks exactly like her. Something in her heart fluttered. She resolutely pushed open the heavy gates of the property. She walked in and saw a girl who, upon noticing her, opened her big eyes wide. As soon as their eyes met, the little girl blushed and held out her hands in tears. Her mother hugged her, and everyone around her froze, struck by the resemblance. The assistant watched in surprise as the cold Mrs. Liu turned into a sobbing woman. Madame Liu must have been trembling as she held the little girl tightly to her. What made you think I was your mother? She asked as the baby clung to her neck. Dad hid your photo under his pillow and I looked at it every night. I found your contact information there and came to see you, she replied, and Mrs. Liu burst into tears. The girl closed her eyes. She looked so much like her younger self that there was no doubt. DNA will confirm everything. If it weren't for the fact that I gave birth to you, I wouldn't call you mom. In the future, I'll have to raise your salary so you'll feel even more sorry for me, Ms. Liu said, laughing through her tears. She tried to find out the details, but the girl only nodded stubbornly. I won't say anything, the little girl snapped. Mrs. Liu remained silent and handed her over to Qin Lan. The girl continued to scream, and Qin Lan hurried to calm her down. Following Zuer, who went to Locke's and Liu's villa, I ended up at the Royal London Hospital. The heart transplant operation was at its limit. I was in uniform, exhausted beyond belief. My eyes were drooping with fatigue. The assistant gently wiped my forehead, helping me come to my senses. Finally finished, I muttered, I can't wait for a hot bath, and decided to call my little princess. But the phone in the elevator rang. I replied Liu Nian had been in trouble. Tang Wei was unharmed, but my little ghost doctor who loved rockets was almost 6 years old. He was an incredibly sensitive child. I was on a business trip and asked Tang Wei to keep an eye on him. What's wrong? I asked with a smile. Did you break another pot or spill some ink? No, it's different. Tang Wei's voice sounded hoarse. 15 minutes later, I was already bursting into the house. Tang Wei fell to his knees, hugging my legs. Liu Nian, it's my fault. You can hit me, but don't ignore me, he begged, soaked with tears. He handed me a crumpled piece of paper. The handwriting was painfully familiar, and I went cold. I was back in China. After a day of searching, I realized I had to fly to China to meet this woman. Why had she abandoned me and our child? I pushed away my heavy thoughts and watched as Tang Wei tried to justify himself. Tang Wei bowed his head low, his voice almost fading. He felt guilty, and I was furious. I took a deep breath and rushed up to the second floor. The thought of this woman appearing next to the child was making me lose my composure. Tang Wei helped me search. Did you find the flight number? I asked, closing the distance. Yes, he replied. She used your information to register the child as an unaccompanied minor. They arrived 5 hours ago. I immediately turned on my laptop. The location, Daihuyading 4, was glowing like a red dot on the screen. I was confused. This couldn't be happening. She couldn't know the truth. It must be just a coincidence. I was overcome with horror. If Zuer found out that the child was alive, she would take away custody at any cost. I immediately booked the fastest ticket to China and started packing. At this time, the little girl was sitting on an expensive leather sofa in Daihuyading. Mom, are you so rich? The house is huge. If you have so much money, why did you leave us? Don't you love my father? Liu Zuer, known for her insight, looked at the girl without any emotion. Little one, let's talk seriously. She blinked her eyes. Are you silent? Why aren't you answering? Zuer closed her eyes. First, tell me your name. Who is your father? What does he do? What does he look like? The girl persisted. Mom, do you have a lot of boyfriends? I don't even remember my father. He must be a scoundrel. Zooer frowned, sensing that the conversation was reaching a dead end. You're just avoiding the question, the girl said brazenly. Zooer, accustomed to discipline, was stunned by such impudence. Old lady, I challenge you, the little girl declared, looking straight into your eyes. Their gazes met, and neither of them wanted to back down. Chin Lan watched this clash of wills. She was amazed that this little one wasn't at all afraid of Zooer. It seemed they were destined to clash. Liu Zooer paced the room with an icy calm while Chin Lan spent 3 minutes trying to figure out the girl's origins. Chin Lan was in tears, begging for any clue. Liu Zooer only looked at her coldly. If I knew, why would I need your help? Chin Lan looked at me pleadingly. Liu Zooer, seeing that she was still hysterical, merely snapped irritably, Get up, stop whining, I need to rest. She lost her temper, poured herself a glass of red wine, and stood by the window looking out at the city at night. At that moment, her phone rang. Glancing at the screen, she frowned, walked out into the hallway, and tossed the phone onto the windowsill. Zooer, I'm back, came a voice from the receiver. I got a message from a guy. I really want to see you. Her voice was cold as ice. I'm busy. It's been 6 years. Can't you let me go, please? I can't take this anymore, the man's voice insisted. Zooer frowned. I made it clear you were the one who loved me first. Why did you marry someone else? The man on the other end of the line was furious. Let the past be the past, she snapped. Zooer didn't back down. It's been 5 years and you still talk to me like that. He didn't want to forgive her, but she added coldly, You have no right to mention his name. Zooer's eyes turned red. Sorry, I was drunk. The man's voice softened. Don't be angry. I thought that if he was drunk, he should have gone to bed instead of calling. Liu Zooer immediately ended the call. The phone rang again and she answered without looking. Yi, sitting on the sofa, listened to it with her face buried in her pillow. The child formed an even more disgusting impression of his mother and that scumbag on the line. This man is most likely my mother's ex-boyfriend, and the one they were arguing about is my father. It looks like this guy really is my mother's father. Now other men are involved. It's no wonder my father wants to raise me himself. Did she really treat my father like that? Don't hang around all day, she said, irritated that she wasn't getting a response. Yi suddenly stood up and asked Zooer if she remembered there was a little girl there. The question caught her off guard and she felt awkward. I said, I don't know your father, you're mistaken. Tell me his name and I'll send you back, but I can't tell you. You don't deserve to know, Yi snapped, falling back onto the sofa in anger, hugging the pillow. It was too dark. She didn't want to stay at the police station overnight. She wanted her father punished. She returned to England without valuing her own father, and she was too lazy to show her face to him. Liu Zooer glared at Yi. I always had a strange feeling of déjà vu, as if I had seen these features somewhere before, but I couldn't remember where. The door swung open and a middle-aged auntie walked in. Miss, did you call me? Mama Zhang asked. Stay and look after the baby. Liu Zooer turned and left. Mama Zhang looked around. She saw the girl on the sofa and gasped, Oh my God, it's a replica of our mistress as a child. She finally has a descendant. Zooer froze for a second. She turned around and asked, Do you really think so? Do you like her? Mama Zhang smiled and whispered, Very much. Liu Nian and Zooer were stunned. What did you say? Zooer asked again. Mama Zhang began to defend herself, claiming she might have been mistaken, but her words struck a chord in Zooer's heart. She returned to the sofa, carefully studying Yi's face, trying to capture every feature. Although they were not identical, their facial expressions, gestures, and emotions when angry or happy were frighteningly similar. Memories flooded her. Liu Nian, is it really you? Flashed through Zooer's mind. Mama Zhang innocently asked, Who are you talking about, miss? And began asking about the girl. Yi looked at them with disbelief. I'm just a nanny, I can't be your grandmother, she said quietly. Then I'll call you Grandma Zhang. Dad said to respect your elders. Yi smiled and Mama Zhang's heart melted. What a polite girl. It's obvious her father put a lot of effort into her upbringing, and I just blinked slyly. Let's get back to business. Grandma Zhang, Mom's husband, was probably a handsome man, Yi continued. Liu Zooer cut off the questioning just in time and sent Mama Zhang to the kitchen. You're doing this on purpose, right? Zooer looked at Yi's face. Girl, you talk too much. I'm leaving. She went upstairs, hearing behind her. Mom, is this the 3rd time you've done this today? Leave me alone. One day I'll find a way to teach you a lesson. Half an hour later, Zuer changed into her house clothes and went downstairs to answer the phone. Someone on the other end of the line asked shrewdly, "Is that a big girl? When will this end?" 20 minutes later, I saw an old house and the sound of a voice reminded me of something far away. "Mom, are you out so late? My phone's dead. When are you going to have kids of your own?" Zuer calmly replied, "It's sacred. Being a mother means hearing your child's call even at night." Mama Zhang brought beef noodles. "Your favorite beef, help yourself." Zuer didn't look back as she walked away. "Call me if you need anything." "Mom, could you read me a story?" Yi asked quietly. "Let Mama Zhang sit with you, don't be capricious," Zuer snapped and left. Mama Zhang took Yi's hand. "Let's go wash our hands and eat." Yi's stomach was growling, and she obediently followed Mama Zhang into the bathroom. Liu Zuer couldn't help but stop as she looked at this scene. The phone rang again. "Oh my god, is there a baby? We're coming to you." Zuer frowned. "Don't make a fuss. Meet me in the VIP room." Girls in white dresses were already sitting there. Lu Jinchai fussed, "Second sister, should we call the guys?" Lu Jinchai is an illegitimate daughter who hates the Lu family and runs the establishment under Zuer's supervision. Everyone knew that even Zuer's husbands couldn't compare to her, and the only person she loved died 5 years ago. The sisters were worried that the girl's sudden appearance would damage the Liu family's reputation. Lu Jinchai hastily evicted all the men from the VIP lounge. The younger sister, Shen Yan, couldn't resist asking questions. "Second sister, where is this child from? Who is the father?" "I don't know," Liu Zuer snapped back, exasperated. "How can you not know the father of your own child?" They wondered. She merely repeated, "I just don't know." Shen Yan gritted her teeth. "Don't lie. Tomorrow I'll visit the little one myself. I need to dig up this giant melon and find out the truth." Feng Zihen, the eldest sister, looked at Zuer appraisingly. "What's going on? You never mentioned being pregnant. Don't tease us, just spill the beans." Zuer had been flawless for the past 5 years and then suddenly, a daughter. This infuriated everyone. Zuer was about to respond, but there was a noise outside the door. Gu Xin, the head of the media market, entered the room. She looked intently at Zuer, knowing that she always had the most complete information at her fingertips. Shen Yan's eyes lit up. "Third sister, tell me what you found out." Gu Xin told the whole story. In the end, she assured Zuer, "Don't worry, I've cleared out the police station. There's no trace." Zuer looked at her. But instead of gratitude, she said, "You destroyed the evidence. What if her father shows up and starts looking for her? You don't even know who he is." She was furious. "I think Mu Liu Nian is involved," flashed through my mind, "but she died 5 years ago, or she didn't. Or is this not her child at all?" These thoughts made Zuer want to drink a bucket of water. Meanwhile, Shen Yan continued to sniff out the details. Feng Zihen, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "Zuer, get a DNA test. Whoever the father is, you owe it to the family to find out." Zuer calmed down a little. "Don't worry, Qin Lan has already done everything." Before coming, she took the girl's hair for analysis. "The results will be in 3 days, she said. Feng Zihen sighed with relief. "If it's your child." "My life is over," Zuer thought, but Yi's face came back to me. I stood up and said goodbye. "I'll go first. All expenses are on me today," Zuer said as she left. "We haven't even started yet," Shen Yan shouted, but Feng Zihen pulled her along. "Don't yell. I know she won't leave the baby overnight. She's too sensitive to maternal instinct." Night fell. Liu Zuer quietly opened the door. Yi was asleep, her face flushed. Zuer stood frozen by the bed, watching this little angel. She couldn't take her eyes off the girl until Mama Zhang reminded her that it was time to rest. Zuer went to her bedroom, picked up her phone, and saw an unfamiliar number. She began pacing nervously again. She remembered that this number belonged to her at the time when she first learned about the child's disappearance. Someone then told her they knew where the girl was. She was talking on the phone with her ex-lover. And ironically, that important call fell through on the plane. The next morning, upon landing, I breathed in the air of my hometown. The familiar scent gave me strength. I returned. I put on my glasses and left the terminal. At the same time, Zuer and Qin Lan were in the same airport lobby. Qin Lan, who was about to go abroad, glanced at her watch. "Miss, there's half an hour until departure. Shall we go to the lounge or the cafe?" Zuer looked around. Suddenly, her face became inscrutable. She silently walked toward the car. Qin Lan, surprised, followed her gaze. I stood at the boarding gate facing them. "I can't see well. Are you talking to someone? Why are you smiling?" Qin Lan asked, looking at me. "Could it be Shen Yu Chu, the boss's sworn enemy?" Chin Lan wondered what Zuer would do. Let's go say hello, Zuer's cold voice made me shudder. Is that you? Shen Yuchu shuddered. But you're not suitable, she said coldly to me. His gaze was fixed on me. Care to introduce your friend, Chin Lan whispered. We both froze, our faces contorted with recognition. I heard Zuer's voice. I tripped and almost fell when I landed. What a shame. I quickly pulled my mask tighter. I looked around for cover, feeling her gaze on me. Even through my sunglasses, I recognized the scent. Sir, there's no sun here. Why do you need a mask? She asked. The air is so clean I don't want to close my eyes, I replied, trying to hide my shudder. Do you want to see my face? Sweat is pouring down my forehead. I deliberately coughed, trying to change my voice. Sorry, I have a cold. I don't want to infect anyone. Shen Yuchu looked at me suspiciously. The broadcast's viewership grew to millions. The comments exploded. I nearly tore off my mask in panic. The live broadcast was on all channels. The world around me turned upside down. I wanted to return quietly, but chance upset everything. In the morning, I turned on the TV to calm down. Suddenly, two familiar voices appeared on the screen, the mother's whom I saw yesterday and my own. My gaze fell on Shen Yuchu. A thought flashed through my mind. Auntie's not bad. I can add her to Bobby's list of candidates. Yi was sitting on the sofa, waiting for the show. The door swung open, and a man with a chicken head entered. Zuer's twin brother, Liu Junbo. He collapsed onto the sofa, looking exhausted after yesterday, and I pinched her nose, remembering the teacher's words, "That's how bad people dress." She looked at him doubtfully as he fell asleep. Liu Junbo heard a noise, opened his eyes, and saw a miniature version of his sister. He literally rolled off the couch in fear, trying to push this vision away. "Shut up, you're making noise," the little girl shouted, looking at him as coldly as Zuer usually did. He rubbed his eyes. His sister should be in Norway by now. How could there be an exact copy of her here? Is my sister really that bad to have such grievances from her past? He thought and chuckled involuntarily. And you looked at him, silly, stop it. She blocked his access to the television. Liu Junbo, as if given a bucket of cold water, woke up completely. Where did she come from? That look, that tone, that voice, everything about her was like my sister's. "Are you a demon?" he asked. "Should I take you to the hospital? Modern medicine works wonders. They'll return you to normal." He was sure it was Zuer. He broke out in a cold sweat, but Yi just stared at him silently until the TV went out. Yi's lips pouted in resentment. "This is all your fault. I don't know where that man from the screen disappeared to." The little girl's eyes filled with tears. Liu Junbo thought she was sad about being trapped in a child's body. "Don't cry, I'll treat you well no matter how much money I have. My parents will leave and I'll take care of you," he said. Yi wiped away her tears. "A normal child cannot be born from someone like you," she retorted, and Liu Junbo's mood instantly evaporated. "Am I ugly? Have you seen how you look?" he snapped. Although, admittedly, Liu Junbo was very handsome. Everything about her was like Zuer's, except for one unfortunate gesture. Hearing her harsh words, he finally realized she wasn't his sister. He became bolder. "And who are you? Why do you look so much like my mother, and why are you in her apartment?" Yi asked, looking straight into her eyes. "My mother is your sister, so I have the right to be here," she snapped. Liu Junbo slapped his thigh. "So you're not her daughter?" Ying merely chuckled. "Your IQ has finally returned." The venom in her words was obvious. He raised his hands. "Okay, I give up. Talk to your mother and I'm your uncle." "What did your dad teach you?" She not only called him uncle, but also made him bow when talking about his father. Tears came to Ai's eyes again. Liu Junbo was afraid that she would burst into tears and hurried to sit down next to her. "Baby, why are you crying? Did I do something wrong?" "You didn't let me finish watching the series and Mom died." Yi wanted to say that Dad might have died too, but she stopped herself in time. She was afraid of getting me into trouble, so she decided to keep quiet. Liu Junbo, however, changed his tactics. "So little yet so capricious. My sister raised her daughter so well, the bond between them is simply amazing," he thought. "Don't cry, Uncle will help." He took the remote control, looked through the recordings and realized that it was an entertainment show. "I found the full recording. Do you want to watch it?" he asked. I nodded. She needed to find out who the man on the screen was. She watched the footage intently until the image stopped at a moment where two women were dragging a man along. "Stop, there he is," she shouted. We stared at the screen. Liu Junbo's eyes widened, recognizing the face that was hard to believe. Shen Yuchu held the man's hand. The scene was shocking. Yi stared at the screen. Even on the recording, he was so handsome that I wanted to immediately meet this enemy face to face. What do you know about this, brat? You can't just stare at handsome men like that. Liu Junbo chuckled. Yi didn't respond, her gaze fixed on the woman next to him. Who is this woman? She asked. She is your mother's former classmate, Shen Yuchu, he replied. The way she held his hand made Liu Junbo nod approvingly. Are they enemies or opponents? Yi firmly decided that she was the enemy. Liu Junbo began to explain they were friends until they both fell in love with Liang Huji. He left 7 years ago. As soon as the name was heard, Yi's gaze changed. Liu Junbo noticed this abruptness. Did I say something wrong? She just remained silent. The case was complicated, and this girl had a very bad character. So what's your name, little ghost? He asked politely. And, she replied, is that your father? He pointed at the man on the screen. A happy smile appeared on the girl's face. Your father is very good at protecting your soul. What's his name? Yi immediately became wary. She realized this uncle was trying to pry information out of him and poked him with her finger. Liu Junbo reached out, but Yi shouted right in his ear. I won't tell, you're a nasty old man. She seemed to have decided to punish him for his importunity. Liu Junbo became angry and pretended to hit her. At that moment, Mama Zhang walked in and witnessed the scene. She rushed to Yi's defense. Liu Junbo smiled. Mama Zhang, don't worry, we're just playing. But she saw the girl's tear-stained eyes. Baby, are you okay? Do you want to rest? She was afraid that this idiot would make her cry. I won't go, I need to finish watching, I said firmly. I don't dare offend our little princess, Liu Junbo justified himself. Remember what I told you, don't let her get hurt, Mama Zhang snapped, helping me calm down. It really worked, are you seriously watching TV? Mama Zhang happily headed to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Meanwhile, Liu Junbo was calculating everything. If his sister was so attached to this girl, then it was serious. He needed to be on guard. He was delighted and smiled as radiantly as his sister once did. Little princess, what do you want? I'll buy you everything. She started listing cola, chips, hamburgers, fried chicken, French fries, all the things that are usually strictly forbidden to me. Liu Junbo sighed, okay, we'll do it. He immediately ran to his room to order takeout. While he was making the delivery, I was completely absorbed in watching TV in the living room. On the screen, 2 women were fighting from behind a wall. One of them pushed the other away in anger and grabbed a suitcase. Ironically, at that moment, a group of frantic fans was chasing the star. Chaos ensued, and in the confusion, I rushed to call a taxi. I drove to Yancheng, turned off the TV, and whispered to myself. Luckily, father only chose me and mother. Liu Junbo went downstairs, but Yi was bored. Uncle, let's go play outside. Liu Junbo's eyes lit up, but Yi immediately snapped, forget it, you're too clumsy. He flared up, what do you mean? Yi climbed the stairs and explained, I'm so cute, but you look ridiculous next to me. Liu Junbo was indignant, where am I ugly? And I stopped, you look bad from head to toe. Go get yourself in order, change your image, start talking normally, then come back. Having said this, she turned around like an adult and walked up the stairs. Liu Junbo cast a critical glance at himself. But I look so good, how can a child be so sarcastic? He rushed to the kitchen. Mama Zhang, am I really as ugly as Yi says? Mama Zhang, who had been secretly watching their argument, smiled softly, trying to comfort him. She remembered how the young gentleman had worked with his wife for the past 5 years. He always did what she asked, even if he didn't agree. Young master, you really should change your image, she advised. The doctor said that order should be in everything. Liu Junbo hesitated, but the desire to show off in front of his little niece won out. He gave in, ran to take a bath, and picked out some clothes. Meanwhile, I grabbed the bag of food and jumped into a taxi. Master, let's go, there's an emergency. The driver merely smiled, but suddenly a car emerged from around the corner. It was Liu Zuer and Shen Yuchu. The scent of pursuit was palpable in the air. Dr. Mu, you don't understand what's going on. Shen Yuchu rushed to her car. Liu Zuer stopped her. What did you call him? Dr. Mu, are you sick? If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have escaped. Shen Yuchu didn't even turn around. Qin Lan whispered next to Zuer, should we check to see if Liu Nian is on this flight? Zuer's face darkened. I'll find him. Qin Lan glanced at her watch. Madam, we can't wait in Norway. Let Gu Xin handle things. Zuer was in disarray. She watched everything unfold, and Qin Lan could see that her heart had already made a decision. I drove past, looking back every now and then, afraid of being followed. The driver glanced nervously in the mirror. Don't worry, I'm a first-class specialist. Do you want to go faster? After making sure there was no tail, I removed my mask to breathe more freely. Where are we going? The driver asked. To Xi'an, I replied, hoping for the safety of the hotel. An excellent choice. It has 5-star comfort and complete safety. The owner is a friend of mine, he answered shyly. I felt relieved and decided that this was the best option. On the way, I was trying to contact Yi to check on her condition when the phone rang. Dubai, have you arrived in China? Her gentle voice melted my heart. Now I know where you are. Where are you? Give me 2 days, I'll finish my business and come to you. I won't fear the consequences if I disobey Qi Yicheng. The thought of Liu Zuer made me breathe hard. I thought I had left Yingning forever, but meeting Liu Zuer changed everything. I need to pick you up, you're so sensitive. See you soon. Okay, YY replied, I'm still very little. It's dangerous to travel alone. Aren't you afraid of criminals? Now I know what to be afraid of. Baby, I was wrong. I won't do it again, I replied guiltily. Okay, where shall we meet? At that little amusement park. Yes, I saw it on TV. My uncle will take me there and I can slip away unnoticed when there are a lot of people there. Great, I checked the address, 20 minutes away. Wait at the gate at 1:00 p.m. Don't let me down. I know, don't nag. She hung up. I stared helplessly at the screen. This girl is incredibly cautious. I need to act quickly to get her before anyone suspects anything. I didn't want outsiders to know about us. At that moment, the door opened and Liu Junbo stood before me. Yi's eyes widened in astonishment. He was wearing a pink t-shirt, tall and long-legged. From now on, you'll dress like this, okay? Yi declared like an adult. No more bad outfits, she added with a serious command. Liu Junbo was pleased. The main thing was that his niece was happy, even if she was wearing pink. Do you want to go somewhere with your uncle? He suggested again. Let's eat first and then take me to that little amusement park, okay? Yi didn't want to go on an empty stomach. No objections, the stomach comes first. Okay, I hear you. He gently stroked her hair and we, holding hands, headed to the first floor. Liu Junbo loudly announced in the kitchen, Mama Zhang, don't bother cooking for us. Yi and I are going out to dinner. Mama Zhang hurried out, full of doubts. Would he really dare to take her away? Young master, perhaps you should invite the young miss too. Why, she's my niece, do I have the right to feed her? He snapped and immediately urged I. When Zhang's mother tried to stop him, Liu Junbo had already started his Ferrari and sped away. She could only sigh helplessly as she watched the racing car recede. A disturbing thought was spinning in her head. She hurried back to the apartment. Mama Zhang grabbed the phone and dialed Liu Zuer, who was waiting for Qin Lan at the airport. Liu Zuer immediately picked up the phone, but after hearing the message, her face darkened. She tried calling her brother back, but Liu Junbo was no longer answering. What's wrong with that girl? She muttered. Qin Lan, returning, saw Zuer's gloomy expression and assumed something was wrong, unaware that it was just a simple dinner. Liu Zuer had no time for that. Her thoughts were occupied not by her brother, but by a completely different person. She opened her work program to check the passengers' details. All her interests revolved around Mu Liu Nian. And the system confirmed, a passenger named Mu Liu Nian arrived from the States at 9 o'clock this morning. Qin Lan, looking at the screen, confirmed the information. Video of the arriving passengers was soon published. In the recording, people exited the terminal one after another until a familiar silhouette appeared in the frame. He calmly breathed in the air of his hometown and then slowly put on his mask and dark glasses, trying to hide his face. The scene in the video froze. Liu Zuer heard the name Mu Liu Nian and her body trembled. These were the same facial features she had seen in the photograph. Anger, mixed with disbelief, boiled in her heart. Now it became clear why the masked man at the airport seemed familiar to her and why he ran away so quickly. Zuer's emotions were so conflicting that she could hardly breathe. The man who died 5 years ago, lived these years like a ghost and now suddenly appeared here, she thought. He was deliberately hiding. Why, had he forgotten the past? The reason didn't matter. She decided that this time she wouldn't let him go, even if it meant resorting to extreme measures. Liu Zuer jumped up and rushed towards the exit of the building. She gave the order, check everything regarding Mu Liu Nian. I need the results immediately. After taking a few steps, she changed her mind and added, give the sample to Tang Yi, let him check it personally. Tang Yi was the family's personal physician, and such an inspection meant that grandfather Liu would find out about everything very soon. Zuer was 100% sure that Yi Yi was related to this person. She wanted the entire Liu family to know about the child's existence. Qin Lan followed her, taking note of every instruction. Liu Zuer got into a black Rolls-Royce. At that moment, a notification came on my phone. Registration of a receipt at a restaurant in the city center. "Where are we going, madam?" the driver asked. Zuer glanced at her watch. "How far is it to the center?" "About 40 minutes if there's no traffic," the driver replied. "Then drive as fast as you can," she ordered. "Close your eyes and don't ask unnecessary questions," she added, looking out the window. An oppressive silence fell over the car. The driver was afraid to even breathe, while Qin Lan in the front seat continued to bark out commands. He contacted the office in Norway and hired people to search for Liu Nian. His phone was ringing off the hook. Zuer was scrolling through her messages and saw Liu Junbo's shopping list. Normally, she wouldn't have cared, but the word toy made her gaze pause. She realized her brother had bought a gift for his niece. Initially, it was his personal business, but his behavior had become too suspicious. Over the past year, monitoring his phone has become necessary as his rebelliousness has become increasingly intense. "What is he doing? I need to find him quickly," she thought. Qin Lan heard her monologue and understood how agitated she was. He asked, "Madam, should I intervene if the young master is acting up again?" Qin Lan personally oversaw the filtering of calls. They mostly came from relatives living with Liu's grandfather. Zuer wasn't the only one who was tired of her brother's antics. "Don't pay him any attention, let him suffer, he'll come home on his own when he's tired," she replied. Qin Lan was surprised by such indifference. But today the boss was too extravagant apparently. The matter was more important than his brother's petty antics. Qin Lan smiled and returned to his main tasks. 40 minutes later, the car stopped at the gates of the elite Tiancheng complex. Zuer and Qin Lan got out of the car. Liu Nian, having showered and changed into a tracksuit, left the hotel. He looked so simple that he could easily be mistaken for a college student. He approached a small playground and checked the time, half an hour until his meeting with Yi Yi. There was a cozy cafe nearby. He went inside and ordered coffee. Sitting by the window, he lost himself in memories. He had once hidden here from the heat with Tang Wei. And here, during his student years, he first met Liu Zuer, the place where they got to know each other and fell in love. Suddenly, a pleasant voice interrupted my thoughts. "Brother, can I sit opposite you?" I raised my head and saw a girl of about 16 or 17 years old looking at me with undisguised anticipation. She looked nervous and stood nearby, as if she was afraid that I would drive her away. There was so much languor in her gaze that I involuntarily replied, "Okay, but just don't bother me." The girl smiled sweetly, revealing her white teeth. "Brother, don't worry, I'll be as quiet as a mouse." She took the seat opposite. She put her hand on the table and stared at me with wide eyes. "Brother, did anyone tell you that you're insanely beautiful?" she finished. I didn't even look at her, remaining indifferent. Her childish words did not touch my heart. I responded with only a polite nod. "Brother, I like your cold gaze. Can you be my boyfriend?" Her voice was gentle and pleading. I was drinking coffee and choked in surprise. The drink splashed everywhere. I coughed, looking around. Luckily, no one noticed, otherwise I would have been mistaken for a child molester. "Sister, do you realize how old I am?" I asked, but she just waved it off. "I don't care, I believe in fate." She continued to insist. "Fate brought us together here. I like mature, charming men." "Please, just agree," she whispered, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly firmly, like a small predatory cat. I looked at her with a smile, trying to figure out if she was joking or not. "Just learn to confess when you're older," I said. "I'll be 18 in 2 months," she blurted out. She was so determined that she even put her passport on the table so that I would believe her age. "I'm a high school senior, a good student, and I'll be going to college in 2 years. I won't keep you waiting long. First, let's get married, and after graduation, we'll think about having a child. What do you say?" Her self-confidence was astounding. I was completely confused. At that moment, I felt an icy chill from behind the girl, emanating from real blood, Liu Zuer's. Her face was so dark that I almost winced. She clearly didn't expect that even after 5 years, her charm wouldn't save her from competition with a teenager. If it weren't for this moment, I would have gone to the river long ago. But Zuer couldn't resist. "Children can't lie. Go find your parents. Don't bother us here or we'll get into trouble." I wasn't lying. "Doesn't she look like my father?" The girl didn't back down, defending her rights to me. Little Yi Yi, who had been sitting motionless until then, suddenly stuck out her chest, protecting her daddy from being kidnapped. And Yi was extremely pleased with how her auntie was brushing off her rival. But suddenly I cast such a threatening glance at Yi Yi that she became frightened and froze with her hand raised. The girl looked at me for a long time, unable to come to her senses. My eyes must have been truly frightening. The little auntie came closer and looked at me with resentment. Who made you dress like that? You're already taken. Could you look a little older or at least a little less attractive? See how weird these dates are. I'm going to give you so much trouble today, you'll get tired of brushing me off, she grumbled as I looked at my simple clothes. I couldn't help but grin. What do you suggest I wear? I asked honestly. I think white medical coats are the best option. They make you look sacred and majestic. I could hardly contain my laughter. Those around me mistook me for a doctor, which sounded quite respectful. A work uniform isn't an everyday outfit. People will think I'm making fun of you by making you wear the same thing. Then Liu Zuer's icy voice came from behind. I don't want my father to buy clothes, his daughter is right. It scared me to the core. Her words sounded as if she had decided everything for me. How did she end up here? Why are she and the girl together? Was it a coincidence? No, that's too suspicious. Zuer knew about the death of little auntie, my identity, and this discovery made my face deathly pale. I was afraid to even imagine what else she had found out about my past. 5 years in the village didn't help me escape. I fell into its trap again, into the Liu family's web, which blames me for abandoning them. Meet the girl, she commanded, though it was clear from her eyes that she was still angry with me. She came closer, leaning her hand on the table and chair, surrounding me with herself. It's raining in my ears, she whispered, her warm breath brushing my earlobe. I shuddered in horror as I looked at that beautiful face. I knew it was a misunderstanding. I was a stranger to her. Zuer uttered only 2 words, but they said everything. A storm raged beneath the beautiful girl's mask. I continued to pray silently. I took a deep breath to answer calmly, yes, but I don't feel like I have to explain anything to you. Mr. Liu, I don't think we've met, I added, feeling her gaze pierce me. Unusual? If unusual, then how did this child come to be? Her words burned like acid. Outwardly I was calm, but inside everything was crumbling. My heart was about to burst. I turned away, which only angered the woman even more. Her cold fingers touched my face, slid across my chin, making me feel unbearably guilty. Who did I give birth to you with? Well, that doesn't matter anymore, she concluded coldly. Liu Zuer apparently believed she had enough power to ignore the rules of propriety, even if she wasn't in a position to give orders. I felt uneasy about the situation turning into a farce. Before Liang Xinru, the girl who tried to get to know me, could finish her bold remarks, Qin Lan, seeing that the situation was getting tense, politely but firmly grabbed her elbow. Aunt Xinru, you seem overtired. Let me walk you out, Qin Lan said. She practically ushered her out of the cafe before she could make any more noise. Liu Zuer, where are you taking her? Liang Xinru shouted after her, but I quickly intervened, blocking Liu Zuer's path. I felt incredibly depressed. The moment of romanticism I'd imagined had turned into some kind of absurd family conflict involving my ex-girlfriend and her circle. After all, Liu Zuer is the mother of my child, but at the same time, she is the ex of my brother or someone close to me, and this intertwining of destinies suffocated me. She mocked my attempts to start a new life, acting as if she still had power over me. It was unbearable. Liang Xinru, unwilling to give up, slammed her palm on the table, attracting the attention of all the diners. She pointed her finger at Liu Zuer. You're a scoundrel, you've ruined everything. Zuer didn't even spare her a glance. She felt that Zuer was just an annoying obstacle that needed to be eliminated. I couldn't stand it any longer and barked, Liang Xinru, go to school immediately, you're overstepping your bounds. Zuer, what's the point of this farce? I remembered that Xinru was closely related to Liang Huiji, and this relationship made the situation even more confusing. She still believed in Zuer's love for her brother, not realizing that everything had long since changed. She was a spoiled princess of the Liang family, accustomed to getting what she wanted. She had always been indulged, and now she believed that I too should be at her disposal. Once upon a time, when her brother Huiji was in college, he and Zuer were actually a couple. Back then, Xinru was very little and Zuer treated her kindly, buying her sweets, but that time has passed. Xinru couldn't accept the fact that her brother's favorite woman was now behaving completely differently. Liu Zuer just smirked at her naivety, looking down at her. Liang Xinru was choked with indignation, trying to find words. "You're lying, my brother couldn't marry you, you two broke up," she screamed. Liu Zuer replied with icy calm, "We broke up in public, but we secretly married abroad. Your brother simply didn't want your family to know the truth." This confession came as a bolt from the blue. I felt anger boiling inside me, all these lies around me, all these secrets. I couldn't take it anymore. In a fit of rage, Liang Xinru swung her sword, but Liu Zuer responded instantly. A resounding slap left a red mark on the girl's cheek. Xinru screamed, "I will destroy you," and reached for the chair to throw it. "Enough, stop it!" I rushed between them, trying to protect Zuer, even though I was confused by her confession. Liu Zuer was shocked that I, despite all my coldness, tried to protect her. But everything got out of control. In the confusion, the chair crashed to the floor. Xinru hit her foot, screaming in pain as the heavy object landed on her limb. She cried and called for help. "Liu Zuer is killing me. I'll tell my brother everything." Zuer was beside herself with anger, and I held her hand tightly, trying to keep her from doing more madness. "Zuer, stop, she's still a child. You understand that Huiji will be furious, right?" I tried to reason with her, reminding her of the feelings that could still connect them. Zuer's face twisted in pain and rage when she heard her brother's name. "Call the doctors, she might have a fracture," I commanded, seeing how she was suffering. Taking advantage of the confusion, I stepped away to wash myself and at least put my thoughts in order a little. Zuer followed me. "You haven't explained anything to me, you won't hide." I was terrified that she wouldn't back down. "Miss Liu, go away, I have nothing to say to you." My voice became hard as stone. Sirens were already wailing outside as police and ambulances arrived at the scene. Someone from the crowd called the police after witnessing the fight. Now we can't avoid legal proceedings. The medics took away the groaning Xinru, and the police began questioning everyone present. Liu Zuer was taken to the police station as a suspect, and I was taken as a witness. At the station, Zuer was brought into the director's office thanks to her connections, and I remained in the common room to give testimony. It turned out that Liu Junbo and Yi Yi were nearby at the time. Their bodyguards were supposed to take them home, but Yi saw me through the cafe window. She knew I was supposed to meet Ba Bai, and that was the decisive moment. She said she wanted to go to the toilet and, taking advantage of the moment, slipped out to run to me. Liu Zuer was following Yi Yi and saw her enter my cafe. That's how the chaos began. Qin Lan watched from the side, barely breathing, when he saw his mistress being put into a police car. He began calling Liang Huiji in a rage, demanding that he immediately come to the station and sort things out. He then called Feng Sihan, hoping he could put pressure on the police. He was ready to do anything to get the healthy, influential lady out of this scandal, even if it meant using the dirtiest methods. When Feng Sihan learned of Liu Zuer's detention, he personally rushed to the police station to rescue her. As he walked through the lobby, he glanced at one of the police officers, and something about the man's appearance suddenly pierced his heart, but he did not stop, heading towards the chief's office. Feng Sihan came from an influential military family, and his personal presence was a powerful argument for the authorities. After less than an hour of negotiations, Liu Zuer left the station. Feng Sihan exchanged only a few words with the chief, and the matter was settled. Once on the first floor, Zuer began looking around, not hearing my voice. She asked the staff where I was, but no one could give her a clear answer. The employees just looked at each other and shook their heads, clearly not wanting to deal with this woman. Zuer was just starting to lose her patience when Qin Lan approached her with a piece of paper. "Miss, the examination results are ready." Zuer took the document. Her hands trembled as she reached the last page. The probability of kinship was 99.9%. It was official confirmation that Yi Yi was her daughter. She froze, unable to move, as if the cold had penetrated to her bones. Meanwhile, I was waiting in the hallway. The police officer taking my statement walked away, asking me to wait just a minute. I waited a long time, but no one approached me. The feeling of anxiety grew stronger. Realizing that something was wrong, I decided there was no point in waiting any longer and headed for the exit. As soon as I approached the gate of the station, Zuer, like a hawk, appeared behind me and grabbed my wrist. "Where are you going? I told you to wait." "Home, of course," I snapped. "What should I stay here for dinner?" My mood couldn't have been worse. I wanted to break free, but she held me tightly. She looked at me defiantly. "I didn't let you go, and I don't advise you to go against my principles again." I winced. "Zuer, 5 years have passed and you haven't changed a bit. Still the same domineering, possessive woman." My dislike for her was almost physical, although I myself did not understand when it became so deep. She shoved the autopsy results under my nose. You didn't die 5 years ago. Why did you hide? Why did you abandon my daughter and me? I will never let you go again. I smiled bitterly. Why did you decide that I was your husband? There are so many people who look alike. Zuer burst into laughter, and there was so much pain in that laughter. Liu Nian, do you think I don't recognize you? I've seen you in my dreams every night for all these years. The past is in the past, Zuer. We must look to the future, I said quietly. She grabbed my hand, tears in her eyes. Tell me, why did you leave? What happened between us? Her pain touched my soul for a moment, but I suppressed the feeling. There are things you shouldn't ask. You raised our daughter, and I'm grateful for that. Grateful, that's all, she exclaimed. That man, Mu Liu Nian, died 5 years ago. Now, standing before you is a stranger who has no connection to you. I hope you don't make me hate you, I added, but Zuer suddenly hugged me. It's impossible, she whispered. I'll never let you go again. Let's start all over again. Yi needs to have a complete family, she continued. Let's give her a home. I was furious. What right did she have to decide for me? For 5 years I lived my life and everything was good for me. I didn't want to destroy this order. I have nothing to say to you, I snapped, and Zuer's bodyguards immediately pushed me into the car. The scene of my abduction 5 years ago surfaced in my memory. Fear gripped me again. She ignored my protests and sat down next to me. Feng Sihan and Qin Lan rode behind. I could see how nervous Zuer was, and I didn't want to look her in the face. For her, these 5 years were hell, but for me, they were liberation. Now that I was resurrected again in her life, her joy was frightening. The car quickly parked near her apartment. Zuer pulled me out of the car, but my condition worsened sharply from stress and hunger. I collapsed onto the bed, breathing heavily, trying to come to my senses. Mr. Liu, I'm leaving. I need to go to my father, I said. You're not going anywhere, she snapped. This is your home. She pinned me to the bed. Are you trying to lock me in here? It's against the law. All my softness vanished. I was ready to yell at her, but she only looked at me with longing and stubbornness. We signed a divorce agreement 5 years ago. I'm not your husband, I shouted. Zuer's expression darkened. Don't overdo it, Liu Nian. You just ran away, leaving a piece of paper behind. You pretended to be dead, and now you dare claim your rights. I never signed that divorce. You are my husband, and if you want to see your daughter, you will behave as I say. You dare threaten me with a child? I was furious. I was choking with coughing, I was suffocating with anger, and the next second darkness covered me. I lost consciousness right on the floor. Liu Nian, don't scare me, wake up. Zuer's voice sounded somewhere far away, full of panic. I remained motionless, and Liu Zuer, overcome with sudden fear, grabbed the phone. With trembling hands, she dialed Qin Lan. Send Dr. Tang to the apartment immediately. Liu Nian is unconscious. Qin Lan acted with lightning speed, and soon Dr. Tang was at the bedside. He began a thorough examination, taking the patient's pulse and listening to her heart. Zuer watched the doctor's every movement, anxiously noting how the wrinkles on his forehead grew deeper. Grandpa Tang, what's wrong? Is he okay? Jai Man asked. Dr. Tan pulled back and sighed heavily. It's a heart attack. He's extremely exhausted and overtired. His heart is working at its limit. You shouldn't have put so much pressure on him, the doctor added sternly. A little more and it could have ended fatally. Liu Zuer, usually imperious and cold, listened to him with respectful humility. The doctor prescribed medication, ordered complete rest, and added, he will come to his senses tomorrow, but it will take a long time to recover. During the treatment, Zuer never left the bedside for a second. Her eyes were filled with deep remorse. She blamed herself for bringing me to this state. She drove away all unnecessary people, wanting only one thing, for me to wake up as soon as possible. After the doctor left, Zuer returned to the bedroom. Seeing my pale face, she leaned over and gently touched my forehead with her lips. How did you survive these 5 years with a child in your arms? You didn't take care of yourself at all, she whispered. I won't let you and Yi disappear again. She took a quiet shower so as not to wake me, and carefully lay down next to me. With her head pressed against my shoulder, she finally fell asleep, finding comfort in my presence. Meanwhile, a depressing atmosphere reigned in the Liu villa. Xiao Yi and Liu Junbo sat on the sofa, heads bowed. Uncle, think of something, Yi pleaded pitifully. Mom is so scary. She tried to escape, but the bodyguards, whose numbers had tripled, had sealed off all exits from the mansion. Liu Junbo was powerless. The entire villa turned into a real fortress, from which not even a fly could fly out. As long as my sister is angry, we won't achieve anything, Junbo shook his head sadly. Yi couldn't hold back any longer. She burst into tears, and Mama Zhang heard her cries. "Little princess, don't cry, let me cook something." The woman tried to console her, but Yi was adamant. "I don't want to eat, I only need daddy. Mommy's become angry, I don't love her." She rolled on the floor in hysterics. Mama Zhang urged her, "Get up, you'll catch a cold. If Mama doesn't come back today, we'll call the elders tomorrow." This gave Yi hope. "If Mom doesn't come, I'll fight for Dad myself." She jumped up, wiped away her tears, and climbed onto the table, threatening to jump off to attract attention. "Don't come near me," she shouted at Zhang's mother. "If you don't let me go to my dad, I don't want to live." Her screams tore the hearts of everyone in the house. Liu Junbo saw that the situation was getting out of control and decided to take extreme measures. He took out his phone and started recording to show his sister what she had done to the child. "Look, why uncle is calling Mom," he said, hoping that the voice of reason would prevail. But he needed to find someone who truly had power over Zuer, and Junbo remembered the only people capable of influencing her. And then she continued to sob on the table, refusing to listen to arguments. "Who can control her?" Junbo's eyes flashed cunningly. "Your grandparents," he whispered to Yi. "They live in Norway. For Zuer, their word is law." "She won't dare go against them," Junbo declared confidently. "They'll arrive and she'll be as soft as silk." And Yi looked at him doubtfully. "Are they really going to come?" "Trust me, I'll arrange everything," he swore. "We'll make them come and then you'll see Dad," Uncle promised. And Yi, hearing this, became more accommodating and prepared to cooperate. "Norway, it's so far away, but Uncle said they'd help." Yi began to hope for rescue. Junbo couldn't let down his niece, who called him Uncle for the first time. "We just need to make a call. They'll be here tomorrow, and no one will dare keep us locked up again." "Hurry up, Uncle, please," I begged. Junbo dialed the international number to Norway, praying that the plan would work. On the other end of the line, the voices of the old men could be heard. "Junbo, how did you find time to call?" "Grandpa, Grandma, Zuer has gone completely crazy. She's kidnapped my niece and is holding us hostage," he shouted into the phone. The old man on the other side was stunned. "What nonsense, Zuer would never do such a thing." "No, really, she brought Mu Liu Nian into the house and locked us all in, causing utter chaos." The family was shocked. "What niece are you talking about?" Junbo laid it all out there, feeling that this was the only chance to regain control. "Where did the child come from? Are you confused?" the grandfather asked again. "Zuer's daughter has returned. She's 5 years old and she's been hiding her from all of us this whole time," Junbo blurted out. Now that the truth has come out, Zuer will have a hard time when the old men arrive and demand an account for all her secrets. Junbo was pleased. He knew that once the grandparents arrived, Zuer would have to face the consequences of her arbitrariness. The grandmother's voice rang out. "This child, do you see? He looks like your sister." "Yes, I saw." "Indeed, it's very similar, like some character from a beautiful melody." Liu Junbo mentioned his little aunt, and I couldn't help but appreciate his pride. "Where is he now?" "Do you have any photos of him?" I asked when my grandfather came into the house and I had just finished buying tea. "He's right next to me." "What photos? I'll show you him in person now." Liu Junbo finally exhaled. Today he absolutely had to get those 2 old men to come back. Otherwise, Liu Zuer will find out everything tomorrow and he won't forgive any of us. Okay, hurry up," he urged. "I want to meet my granddaughter." The old couple on the other end of the line became visibly nervous. "Don't worry," Liu Junbo replied and hung up. I turned my gaze to the little aunt. Auntie turned out to be remarkably perceptive. I winked at her, signaling, "Uncle, don't worry, I know what to say. I'll persuade them to come back." Liu Junbo smiled contentedly. His niece is remarkably quick-witted after all. One glance was enough to figure out my plan. The video link was established. As soon as the old people saw the little aunt's face, they were 100% sure that this was indeed their child. When Mr. Tai appeared on the screen, Auntie immediately spoke up. "Grandma Tai, my name is Zioye. I like you very much. I love you very much." The child's tender voice instantly melted the old couple's hearts. These simple words filled them with utter delight. "We love you too, dear." The old couple's eyes sparkled with emotion. It seemed the long separation no longer mattered. Auntie continued to smile sweetly. But the next second she suddenly burst into tears. "Mom locked me and Uncle in the house, doesn't let us go outside. I'm so sad that I can't visit you, you're so old." Auntie is very upset. The old men's hearts were breaking with pain. "Don't cry, honey. We'll call your mother right now and make her open the door." Grandpa was furious, his beard trembling with indignation. How dare she? Liu Zuer has no respect for her elders. How can you lock a child within 4 walls? The old man fumed. Auntie's still so little, and old lady Liu is just getting better. It seems they've completely forgotten about us 2 old people, he added. Just let her try to behave so willfully. Have you forgotten who's boss in the family? Auntie continued to play out the performance, glancing at me every now and then. It's been too long, I can't wait any longer. When will you be back? Auntie wants to see you. I can't sleep at night, I can't swallow anything. Our little auntie isn't eating anything. How can that be? We'll come see you tomorrow, rest assured. We'll definitely show up. Old Liu's face expressed deep pain. Knowing his stubborn character, I was sure that he would come at any cost to calm his great-granddaughter. Auntie knew she had achieved her goal. She was confident in the old people's promise. After the call, Grandfather Liu and his wife immediately began packing for their private jet flight to China. Aunt Liu and Liu Junbo also hung up. Surrounded by these people, I hoped we could curb Liu Zuer's cruelty. Finally, they fell asleep, unburdened by bad thoughts. None of us wanted to lose our peace. The next morning, I was awakened by sunlight streaming through the window. I hadn't slept so soundly in a long time, and I slowly rose from my bed. Looking down at my pajamas, I frowned. Pieces of yesterday's argument with Liu Zuer came flooding back to me. I remember feeling ill in the dark and then fading away. What happened next? Liu Zuer woke up before me. She was worried that I was home alone, so she first held a morning conference in the office and then went down to the kitchen to make breakfast. Liang Huiji appeared on the screen. Liu Zuer hesitated before letting him in. He was holding a bag. Liu Zuer, dressed in a loose dress, looked rather strange. She frowned at the intruder. Liang Huiji was unusually early. He placed the bag in front of her and smiled dazzlingly. I bought breakfast. Let's eat together. I want to talk. Would you like to invite me in? Liu Zuer glanced hesitantly at my closed bedroom door and tried to refuse. Liu Zuer, can't we even remain friends? What I want to discuss doesn't concern the 2 of us. Liang Huiji persisted. Liu Zuer sighed and relented. Come in. She went into the kitchen where she had been preparing steak and eggs for me. She had some chores to do, so she returned to the stove. Liang Huiji walked into the house, ignoring the coldness of her tone. He began to set breakfast on the table. Zuer, come eat, I've prepared everything. Liu Zuer, holding the plates, walked out of the kitchen. Liang Huiji was about to help, but at that moment, I, still in my pajamas, began to descend the stairs. The 3 of us locked eyes. Liang Huiji's face twisted with disgust the moment he saw me. Liu Nian, you're not dead. His voice was thick with hatred. Although it only lasted for a moment, I noticed everything and couldn't help but smile mockingly. Not dead? Is Mr. Liang surprised? That's not what I meant, Liu Zuer, you know me. Liang Huiji glanced sideways at Zuer, trying to justify himself. His gaze was filled with resentment. I looked at them sitting at the table and couldn't help but feel a little ironic. I wonder how great is Mr. Liang's acting talent. It was sickening to look at that offended face. It's a shame he doesn't act in films. He'd definitely be appreciated there. Sorry I'm late, I said. Liang Huiji, observing Zuer's reaction, said through gritted teeth, Liu Nian, you've changed. You were different 5 years ago. You weren't so sharp-tongued before. Aren't you afraid Zuer will be upset by your cruelty? I just laughed. People change. That Liu Nian from 5 years ago was killed by you and Zuer. Mr. Liang, you haven't forgotten about it, have you? My gaze turned cold, and when I turned to him, he involuntarily shuddered. A flicker of fear flashed in his eyes, but he tried to remain calm. Liu Nian, what are you talking about? We didn't kill you. You just disappeared then. We were all in a hurry, especially Zuer. I couldn't sleep without eating, and deep down I reproached myself. Why am I so stubborn and foolish? I didn't do anything to offend her, did I? Liang Huiji started playing the victim again. It was sickening to watch him try to play the lead role in this performance. I pulled myself together in time, though I could barely unclench my jaw with anger. Mr. Liang, don't take it personally, I'm just joking, I muttered, glancing briefly at the plates on the table. I smiled and added, you should have dinner and I won't bother you anymore. I didn't give a damn about either of them anymore, and I headed for the stairs to the 2nd floor. Liu Zuer, who had been silent until then, looked at me with a strange expression. As I stood on the steps, she called out to me, come eat. I spent the whole morning preparing this breakfast for you. I realized I needed to eat so as not to devalue her efforts. Although, to be honest, I just wanted to leave and forget. I continued to climb, but as soon as I reached her, Zur stopped me. She exhaled, as if gathering her courage. I tried to calm down. We took a couple of steps when suddenly she grabbed my hand, with her character. "You're always making scenes and swearing. It's time to talk. Let's go have breakfast," she said firmly. Liu Zur let go. I tried to object. But we were already walking side by side. I felt like I should pour my heart out to her, but the words stuck in my throat. I didn't want to admit my weakness. Liu Zur didn't let go of me until we got downstairs. She made me sit down next to her, placed a plate in front of me, and ordered, "This was prepared especially for you. I want you to eat it all." Her tone was harsh, not up for discussion. Remembering that I had a meeting waiting for me somewhere out there, I decided to obey. I picked up my knife and started eating, not immediately noticing that Liu Zur had taken a second plate and sat down to eat next to me. Liang Huiji could only chew his takeout meal. He tried to appear unperturbed, but his eyes burned with burning hatred. They looked like a couple, and he looked like the odd man out at the table. "Your breakfast is still as delicious," I remarked. It seemed the quality of her cooking had even improved. I popped a piece of scrambled egg into my mouth and couldn't resist praising it. I deliberately looked at Liang Huiji with a satisfied grin and politely added that breakfast wouldn't taste good if it got cold. Liang Huiji looked at me as if he was ready to kill me on the spot. I felt anger boiling inside me. My appetite was gone, but I wasn't going to give him a reason to be happy. I decided to torment him a little more. "Don't you want to eat this?" "Of course, Zur made it for me. If I treat you, she'll be very unhappy." With these words, I demonstratively took a bite from her plate. I laughed, watching his suffering. Liu Zur was in a good mood, realizing I was deliberately trying to irritate him. I also felt better. The tension had finally found an outlet. Liu Zur placed a glass of milk in front of me. "Liu Nian, eat more and talk less." Her voice was filled with tenderness and concern. I smiled. "Zur, drink with me." She took the glass. But before I could even bring it to my mouth, Liang Huiji couldn't help but ask, "Zur, why are you treating me like this? Don't you like me anymore?" Liu Zur looked at him with complete indifference. "Huiji, I've told you this many times. It's over between us. Liu Nian is my husband." "Impossible, I don't believe it," he exclaimed. Liang Huiji couldn't stand being ignored. When he looked at Liu Zur, his gaze was pleading. "Your white light has already faded. You no longer chase it. You're not afraid of losing it," I chuckled. Liu Zur slammed her glass down on the table. Her face turned stony. "Liu Nian, are you satisfied?" she asked. I sat there as if nothing had happened. I continued chewing my steak with a slight smile. "Liu Zur, this is just the beginning. There will be many more like this in the future. If you can't bear it, you can let me go right now." Zur's hands trembled slightly with anger. "You really are unbearable," she hissed. After such a morning, she just wanted to leave. I just laughed in response. "Thanks for the compliment." Seeing my proud expression, she apparently decided to change tactics. Taking a deep breath, she picked up the coffee. "Get yourself together, don't act like a child. Husband, don't forget to finish your milk. I have business at the company. If you get bored, call me. I'll be back soon." Having said this, she quickly left the apartment. I immediately rushed to the door to try to get out. The sound of a key turning was heard. A female voice came from behind the door. "Keep an eye out so not even a fly gets in." "Okay, miss, we understand." A crowd had gathered outside the door. The roar of the cars outside was so loud it seemed to shake the building. I rushed to the door and pulled the handle. It was locked. I looked at the security monitor and was stunned. Had Liu Zur completely lost her mind? She not only locked me in but also posted a dozen bodyguards. The entire corridor was filled with them. That's why she was in such a hurry. "What's this all about? If I can't leave, why are you holding me captive? Do you enjoy watching yourself ruin my life?" I was desperate. Looking around in this familiar but hated house, I sat on the sofa, imagining all the intricacies of love and hate between me, Zur, and Liang Huiji. 5 years ago, I was hurt too much, and I spent those years without healing. I wandered to the liquor cabinet. He pulled out a bottle of his most expensive wine. He opened it and began drinking it alone, cup after cup. Soon, half the bottle was empty and his head began to spin. The more I thought about the past, the more painful it became. Bottles fell to the floor one after another, shattering into pieces. I felt a strange, painful satisfaction from this revenge. The expensive wine spilled across the floor. Finally, either from exhaustion or drunken stupor, I collapsed onto the rubble. The bodyguards outside the door heard the noise. They burst inside and saw a sea of wine and thousands of shards of elite alcohol. I was beside myself with rage and behaved defiantly, continuing to destroy everything around me. The bodyguards, fearing for my life, carefully tried to reason with me. "Sir, please calm down, you'll get hurt." "Who let you in? Get out, where's Liu Zuer? Get that woman here immediately." I was ready to continue this chaos to the end. One of them came closer, trying to take the bottle from me. I saw several tall figures in front of me, inexorably approaching. That moment, their steps, their pressure suddenly reminded me of the kidnapping 5 years ago. Emotions overwhelmed me. I grabbed the sharpest shard from the floor. "Get back, get away, don't come near," I screamed. The bodyguards looked in horror at the bloody palm clutching the glass. Blood was streaming down my arm, but I felt no pain, only a burning desire to break free. "Drop it right now, it's too dangerous." They tried to surround me, but this only made me even angrier. But they kept coming and I was overcome with panic. I held the sharp shard to my own neck, shouting, "Stay back. If you take another step, I'll slit my throat right before your eyes." The bodyguards froze, seeing blood already oozing from my neck. I was shaking with fear and rage. "Don't you dare act rashly," I screamed, not even realizing what I was saying. I was like a taut string, ready to snap at any moment. The bodyguards, fearing the worst, rushed to calm me down. Okay, Mr. Gu, calm down, please," one of them muttered, raising his hands. "We're not going anywhere, we're staying here." But I was still on the verge of breaking down. "I don't care, find me Liu Zuer, otherwise I'll finish you off right now." I looked like a maddened beast. The bodyguards, realizing the situation had gotten out of control, exchanged confused glances. One of them urgently dialed Liu Zuer's number. At that moment, she was holding a meeting with the company's top management. Her phone suddenly vibrated. Seeing it was a call from security at the apartment, she frowned and pressed the answer button, putting the conversation on speakerphone.